Are you ready?
Yes.
Well, go on.
You start by saying hello, family.
Hello, family.
Can we start over?
Keep going. That's it.
Hi, fam.
You gotta realize this could go live at any moment. So
We're starting
welcome to our channel.
Welcome to our channel.
I'm Beto.
And I'm Rozie.
And you're now listening to Beto and Rozie show.
This is take number 2.
Okay. We're glad you have joined us, returned. We tell stories and have fun. And
He's reading this. He has such rookie.
Yay.
Okay.
This intro will get better next time.
Yes, he will. We're trying to get better every other day.
Yeah.
Well, we post our content on Saturday morning, so
that's right.
We shoot it and post it on Saturday morning.
I just want to say we spent about half an hour trying to redo our settings, and it was a little trying. But we're back. We're here. I think it's recording fine now.
Yeah, and I hope we sound good, and we don't have to redo it. And I think we look great.
Yeah.
So where did we leave it last time?
Well, last time we talked about our New Year's resolutions.
Yes, we did.
That was podcast 1, the premiere podcast, which we got 33 views on.
Yes.
Which was thank you.
Majority of it is our family. So we want to take the opportunity to say thank you for watching and liking and subscribing.
That's right.
We have 6 subscribers.
Which is great. So we appreciate that.
And the comments. We enjoy reading the comments.
Yeah, we did. So I think, so we talked about what our cultural dynamics is, what our cultural relationship is.
That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's true. No, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So I guess we should start out with a little bit of our background.
We should.
Just to kind of orient ourselves.
Yeah, Mr. Sanchez, tell us, where do you hail from?
Well, I was originally born in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in the great state of Oaxaca, which
that's a tough one to
pronounce. I wish I had like a little map here to show. But if you think of the U.S. if you think of Mexico, like a mermaid, with a Yucatan being its tail.
Moving on.
Oaxaca is kind of like in the middle of the country, right below Mexico. Capital of Mexico.
I've been there. It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I moved here when I was, I want to say about 8 years old, 9 years old, back in 1989.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah. And I mean, growing up there, luckily enough, I think some of my Spanish is kind of still there. Even though I only was there for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that just is such a formative part of your life that I can still recall most of it and most of the culture. But I have to admit now, I lived in the United States, in Nebraska, for most of my life now. Yeah.
So your culture is a little mixed.
It's definitely, I think I'm getting more and more used to be in the United States and kind of relating to that culture, but I think a lot of it still it's ingrained so much as what it means to be from Mexico and Mexican and from Oaxaca especially, that it's still a big part of my life.
Do you feel like your parents, like in the house, kept the culture going? Like, did you guys do the same things? I mean, of course, it's different because of the environment, but like, did the same kind of things, lifestyle?
Yeah, for a long time, I think we did that. I mean, it was always kind of a treat to go somewhere else and like to go to McDonald's or something, because for the most part, my mom cooked at home. We stayed at home. We celebrated traditions at home. And the big ones were Christmas, people's birthdays. The big one that we kind of adopted from the U.S. was Thanksgiving. So we started celebrating Thanksgiving and obviously the 4th of July, things like that. But so a lot of those traditions are still kind of there.
But you still kept like the Day of the Dead is kind of
the Day of the Dead.
Here.
You're right.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I mean, as far as so for the Day of the Dead, Mexican, especially in Oaxaca, we make altars, and so we made altars for the people that had passed away. We made bread. We kept those traditions alive, and I'm trying to think of any other ones. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of them, but I think a lot of it was still, staying at the house and kind of doing something together as a family, or maybe even going to church, because we were big into the church, going to the Catholic church and kind of celebrating mass and doing all those things.
Nice.
Yeah. And the church that we went to was a Spanish speaking church. So every Sunday we would go, and they would, and maybe that's how I retained a lot of my Spanish too, is because a lot of that was in Spanish. So we go there, and it was an hour and a half service, and then you stayed a little bit after. You talked, and my parents talked to their friends and such, and then we went
in the community. Like, it's a way for the Mexican community to come together.
That's right.
For mass.
That's right. Yeah. So there was that for a long time. As I was growing up, anyway, we did that for quite a long time. So
nice.
But
cool.
So that's a little bit of my background, and I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But how about you tell us some of your background?
Nice.
Where do you come from?
So I was born in Kenya. Kenya is in the east of Africa.
Right.
Small country. We speak multiple languages, so.
Which you do.
Which I do.
3. You speak 3.
Yeah. So Swahili, which is the official language. We also have English as a national language. So that wasn't a big challenge when I came in to learn. And then I speak Kikuyu. Kikuyu is my mother tongue.
Yeah.
So that's still something I do speak. I don't speak it a lot because nobody around me in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, I don't know about that. Isn't that how you found one of your friends? One of your good friends?
Nikki, yes. So there was a story for another day.
Another day. But, so it does happen, but it's not as much, obviously.
It's not a lot of
Kikuyu
speaking around here.
We're not going to go to the Kikuyu party tomorrow.
Do you go to Spanish parties?
Yes.
Whatever.
All the time.
And then I moved to the US in 99. So not as long as you have been here.
Right.
But it was a
89, 99, 10 years apart, yeah.
Yes.
How old were you?
I was, I always forget, 12 or 13.
Okay.
Around there. And moved it to Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
Which, that's where I grew up and went to college. And as far as Kenyan culture, my mom definitely retained some of that in the home. Kenyan food, Kenyan music.
Well, there's a big Kenyan culture
in Atlanta. There was a big
community.
When I lived there, a big community. So Kenyan church, Christian, non-denominational.
And what did they speak when you went to church?
It was in English because the thing with Kenya is there is like almost 50 plus different languages.
Right.
Because of different just different
ethnic backgrounds.
So Kikuyu is just one of the many.
Right.
So I think usually when people meet together, it's either English or Swahili. I mean, there was some music in Kikuyu, which I loved, and there was some music in Swahili and of course English, but
there definitely is a mix.
It's a mix.
That's a blend of all 3.
Now you have to realize Kenyan churches is not just an hour church, like a typical church. It's also a community. You go there and it's hours and hours, and even after you stay behind, eat some Kenyan food, samosas, mandazis, some tea. So I mean, it was wonderful just having that community in Atlanta. Yeah.
And you had that basically coming in because your father was also deeply involved in the church, right?
I will pass.
Okay. Okay, no, that's fair.
That's a story for another day.
Sure. I guess what I'm saying though is that was a big part of your, just like my family, the church was a big part of your family.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we have similarities with our cultures. We are big on church. I mean, yes, you Catholic.
Yeah.
And, Kenyan community also has
It's
a big
Christian.
church foundation to it. And then food. I mean, everything about my culture revolves around food. I mean...
Right. So that's another similarity we share.
Yeah. I mean, you meet with your family and there's a lot of food.
Yeah. I was just thinking right now, like you have something called a mendazi.
Mendazi is wonderful.
So it's kind of like a pastry.
It's kind of like a pastry.
But it's fried, right?
Deep fried.
It's kind of like a bread that's fried. And I don't know if they put any sugar on top or not. But
you can put powdered sugar if you want
to. Sometimes I've seen it with some sugar on it. And it reminds me so much of some of the pastries that we have in Mexico.
You guys have some wonderful tasting pastries.
So there's like that similarity where a churro or a mendazi are very similar to each other.
I thought churro is kind of like tough, no?
Well,
crunchy?
It depends where you get it. It's supposed to be crunchy, but it's not supposed to be tough. It's not supposed to be chewy that much either. It's supposed to be like it's like a pancake. It's like almost like a pancake batter that you deep fry, and it sort of puffs up and all this, like the good churros. Now, obviously, you can get all types of churros anywhere,
right.
But that's how I remember it anyway, and so that's why it reminded me a little bit of mandazis because they were so like, oh, I remember this type of pastry, even though mandazi is more like a biscuit,
right,
than a churro.
And your tortillas, we have also something called chapaties,
right.
So, like, your tortillas are usually made out of corn.
Yeah.
Well, you can have them in.
Well, it's different. It's different in the north and the south. In the north, you'll have tortillas that are made out of flour, right? And then so that's a lot of the United States. You'll go around and you'll see the flour tortillas. But for me, that was totally different because in the south, Oaxaca, we do most of our stuff out of maize or corn, and so a lot of the tortillas are always made out of corn.
Right.
And you make the masa or you make the dough, and then you get a comal, you put it on top of where you're gonna heat it, and then you heat it that way. Whereas chapati, it's
you mix the flour and the sugar and the egg if you want to,
but it's flour, right?
Yeah, it's flour. It's sweet. You knead it like a dough, and and then you cook it on the pan.
Right. Yeah, but it's the same kind of like a flat.
Yeah.
Like almost a pancake. Both are kind of flat. And
well, we don't eat chapatis on like a regular. That's like
right. That's a specialty item.
Because it takes a lot of time to make it.
Whereas in Mexico, you have to, you eat tortillas with every meal, basically, And so I remember this one time where you made a beef stew, and then you also made some chapatis with it. It seems to pair so well.
Oh, beef stew and chapatis is the best.
And that reminded me a lot of also kind of we don't make beef stew a lot, but if we were to have beef in Mexico, you have your freshly made tortillas. Oh, that's the best.
Oh, really?
So it did remind me.
So there's food-wise, yeah. It's also kind of like your pico de gallo.
Okay, yeah, that's another one that's very different.
So
it's very similar.
Similar. So we have something called kachumbari, right?
Yes.
So kachumbari is like tomatoes and onions, and I want to say there's a lime to it. You can add some spicy peppers to it, and you top it up on the meats or whatever food. And it's kind of like similar to your pico de gallo.
Well, it is very similar to, the pico de gallo, I think some of I don't know if you guys put any cilantro on yours.
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes. Okay. We love cilantro.
So cilantro would be the addition. And then, of course, we do lime too. And we do salt. You guys salt and lime your... Yeah.
We call our cilantro dania.
Dania. Okay, that's new. Dania.
You say it's so funny.
So we have the cilantro, we have the onions, the peppers, and and then the pico de gallo. It depends also on the region. Sometimes they'll put like pickled cactus. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Or sometimes cabbage.
So now that you say that, there are some things that you eat that were very surprising to me. And to you, these are like delicacies. And to me, I was kind of shocked, like beyond shocked that you ate that.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Those are differences, I think. But we can certainly talk about them.
Okay. So why don't you say what it is?
So in Mexico, we have a kind of a delicacy that's called chapulines.
Chapulines.
And it's basically I think they're I don't know if they're I don't think they're fried. I think they're just toasted what do I want to say? Grasshoppers. Toasted grasshoppers. And with chili and lime and things like that. And you'll
the spice to it sounds really good.
Yeah, they're spiced really good. But you'll see that sold basically like in a little baggie throughout the market or pretty much anywhere you go, really, in Oaxaca anyway. And so that's something that obviously in the United States nobody would eat, or it's not readily available.
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah, you would not see that.
I think our video is slacking. No,
it is lagging a little bit. Yeah,
let's hope it's still good quality. But yeah, I was when we first went to Mexico, and when I first went to Mexico and met your family there, and it was laid out like a nice special snack. And
but I want to emphasize, I guess, that's kind of like a regional thing. So that's a Oaxaca thing.
Oh, that's a Oaxaca thing. Yeah, it's not a Mexico thing.
No,
that's your culture, like your Oaxaca culture.
I think that's and that might be, maybe some of the surrounding states might also have that. But if you go to Mexico City, I don't think I ever saw that there. Or if you go to the border, like those border states, I don't think I ever saw that there. So it's just kind of, I think it, it just comes from that, I don't want to say Mayan culture, but that kind of regional thing. And so that there's that, and there's other foods there like pickled cactus or cactus in general, which I don't think you would ever eat, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I couldn't speak for the whole culture in Kenya because I don't know, but I've never seen it in Kenya.
Right.
Like I've never heard of a dish with cactus. So
sure.
So that was kind of like a surprise for me as well.
Right. Yeah.
Which you love cactus.
Well,
pickled cactus.
Pickled cactus, and there's ways to cook the other cactus too. So that's another part of it. But I think the other similarity that we have is like eating black beans or any type of beans. Really.
Oh, Kenyans! I love beans. We have we grow beans. We have a lot of beans. Oh, we like rice. Ugali is a big thing. Ugali now is you have your masa is kind of like a ugali.
Yes.
But you see our ugali, we just put the cornmeal in the hot water and you just
and you eat it as a dough almost.
You eat it as a dough and it's so delicious like with some beef stew and some skumawiki. Now skumawiki is collard greens.
Collard greens. Yeah.
I'm already hungry thinking about this. I'm like,
that's what we get from starting with food. But those are some of the similarities, Right. And I'm sure there's more, but I think those are the big ones.
Right. So when we met, it wasn't such a big. I was surprised how much similarities we have and how close.
Family values. Some of the food was very similar.
Oh yeah, family values are huge. Your family is your family is your family, your family, your family.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Right.
Family is important. I mean, religion, as we talked about, is important.
Yep.
In both of our cultures. Language. Now, that wasn't a big thing for us because we both speak English.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we met, we both, that's what we speak. I think some of the challenges maybe there were like, a lot of the Kenyan community does like to speak either Kikuyu or Swahili when we go over there. So I'm trying to learn a little bit more, but I can get lost in a lot of the conversation. So I think that's maybe something. And when we went to Mexico, obviously.
Did you say you're trying to learn? Can you clarify that?
Kula chikula.
Yeah, our video is really lagging. I can see that.
Wow.
But we'll see after.
Yeah.
I think you know maybe 5. How many words do you know in Swahili?
Oh gosh.
Let's hear them.
I think he would be pushing it to say 5.
Kula chakula. That's a whole sentence.
Atea.
Atea is Kikuyu. Atea.
Atea.
What you say?
Atea.
What else?
And sasa.
Well, that's hello.
I know other ones. My mind is like racing right now to try to find them. It feels like I can get like every once in a while I'll be able to, put one in, like just say it. We'll go with 3.
We'll go with
now.
3.
3 confirmed.
Actually, I mean, with the ones that we say, that's at least 5. So
anyway, yeah, but I'm learning. But I think you also had a trouble when you went to Mexico to visit my family, and obviously they all speak Spanish.
Now, I did take Spanish in high school, and I took Spanish in college.
Yeah.
I understand a lot of it, but I don't have the confidence to speak it. I mean, even when we went to church, I can understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I just need more practice.
Yeah. And I mean, that's admirable that you can talk with my dad, which is, in Spanish. My dad just, he can speak some English, but he's more comfortable in Spanish. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, so those are some of the, I guess, cultural things. What did we have on the list for? We had similarities.
We sure did.
We had
differences.
What else?
And
what else do we want to talk about?
That's it.
Okay.
I mean, that's what makes us mesh. I mean, it wasn't such a big crash.
Yeah.
When we first met and when we first started dating. Plus, also, I feel like being that we are immigrants, it's such a relatable thing that.
Well, yeah, and what would you call it? It would be first generation migrants, whatever.
Well, yeah. Well, my family was the first one here.
Right.
From our whole,
Right. So we're first generation migrants, and our children are second generation migrants, and so we have that a lot in common with all of our family too, where they have children are second generation migrants, and then trying to teach them. For me, is trying to teach them a little bit of my culture and making sure they understand Rosie's culture too.
Right.
And we have,
but I mean, we don't try to impose it on them. It just comes natural because we just do things as who we are, And even that was another important thing when we first met. It wasn't like, oh, let me turn you into a Kenyan husband.
Oh, yeah.
Which you kind of wanted to because let me take off your coat.
Clarify.
Let me take off your shoes. That's a very traditional.
Oh, that's a very traditional?
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you. None of that is happening around here. I am not taking your coat. Sorry.
Well, we'll see.
No, thank you.
No.
And I mean, we don't impose each other's. Like you don't try to make me more. It just comes natural.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, but I think that's found like kind of a lot of respect too, because I want to respect your culture. I want to respect your traditions, but I also feel like you do the same thing for me, which is great.
Right.
Like we have a great tradition for us to be something called compadres, or that's translated into godfather and godmother type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked a lot of questions about what their relationship was and how you fit into it and what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it was so second nature that I kind of had to like define it in my own, like, oh, well, I guess this is what this means. And this is how this tradition evolves and things like that. And you respected that.
I mean, also like during our wedding, we had to honor, some of your culture, some of my culture.
Yeah.
And just, so it can be not because, we have to have this, but it was kind of like actually very neat for me to see,
Well, can you say some of the things that we honored that were your culture?
Oh, we did this thing called, which was also new to me, by the way, because I can't sit here and tell you how Kenyan cultured I am. But we had this thing called the soda tradition. This is where, so the night before or the day before your wedding, the husband comes over to your parents' house. Well, at that point it was our house. And brings sodas.
Right.
And in this term, they are actual sodas, but they're also like gifts, money, and just things. And you knock on the door and you sing a song.
Right.
And then you say, I'm here for Rozie.
Right.
And they act like, which one is Rozie? describe her some more. I mean, it was so much fun.
Yeah. I think what I remember most about that night is it's a very similar tradition to mariachi serenata, which is something that we do in Mexico, where you get your whole family. And I had a guitar, and I was kind of strumming the guitar, and I remember my siblings were around me, and we were kind of walking up. At that time, we lived in a duplex, and so we started like maybe a block away and singing and dancing, just making a whole lot of noise, and bringing the sodas, which were part of the tradition. And just coming up to the door and knocking on the door and saying, "Can we be lit in? Can we be lit in?" And it was a very, it was very similar, but it also had kind of key elements that were different just to the Kenyan culture. So that was very nice, and I think we had a great time. My family always kind of comments when we get together. It's like, remember that time we did that? Here's the picture. Actually, I should find some pictures and just kind of show them on the video, just because it just kind of.
Do we even know how to do that?
No.
we even sure? I feel like we might have to repeat this one because.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right, well.
Yeah. So that's one of those.
What was one of the
Mexican culture items that we did? I think the one that sticks out in my mind is we had a lasso kind of.
Yes.
It's kind of made out of kind of like a rosary, almost looking with a cross at the end, things like that. And so that signifies that we are
one.
We are becoming one team, or becoming one entity, and kind of going through life as one.
Yeah.
And I had seen that done before in other ceremonies and things like that. So it was very meaningful to see that be part of our.
Yeah.
And then as far as like just taking some of the American culture with it, it was being I thought a lot of it was kind of like the very traditional white dress and those type of things.
Typical Western wedding.
That type of stuff.
So, yep.
Kind of a mix.
Well, I think this is a good spot to stop.
Okay. Do you want to give a teaser what the next one's going to be about?
Well, you're going to have to wait and find out because we don't know either. You know what we should do? We should do one about toxic friends.
Toxic friends. Okay, that's interesting.
Or toxic neighbors.
Toxic. I don't think we
don't have a toxic neighbor.
And it's been a long time since I had a toxic friend, but we can definitely talk about that.
Well, I mean, we can base it on past, like.
Sure.
I feel like college, there was definitely some toxic.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Or we could do one about. Let's come up with an idea.
Yeah, what I was thinking about is more about like our other hobby, which is the planting.
Oh,
I really wanted
my hobby.
Talk about that because we have several. We went through a little list of things that we wanted to do this year, and there were several of them that involve kind of gardening and that type of thing.
Yeah, but I feel like
for example,
go on.
Where there's the seeds that we want to plant before.
I like how you're saying we, because when we're out there in the garden,
I'm going to be
tell you, Beto here is not a fan of working out in the garden.
No.
But you know what I love? What you say? I don't like gardening, but I love helping you, so
here I am.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
He has some sweet sides to him.
Yeah, and I give some suggestions, some ideas. So, I take it?
I
think maybe it's a 20-80 split on what the ideas are. But when you have an idea, I execute. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Yes.
But usually there's quite some convincing to do because one of us struggles with their ideas not being taken. That should be our next topic.
What's that?
Who accepts other people's ideas better, Rozie or Beto?
Oh, okay.
How do you?
That's,
you hear that?
Yeah, that just means that
the mailman is here.
Yeah,
it's a ring doorbell. But I think in a relationship,
Yes.
one of us has a hard time accepting the other people's ideas. And
okay, for the next topic, we're gonna carry a GoPro around and we're gonna see in a counter. Whose idea was chosen?
No. As you can tell, some people are even keeping tabs. That should be the next.
Okay.
How we resolve each other's. I don't want to say it's conflicts. It's just like.
What do you want to say?
Who takes the other person's ideas more seriously and whose ego is usually bruised when the idea is not taken or executed, etc.
Yes. Okay, well, good. That's going to be the next topic.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. And I'm Rozie.
And I'm Alberto.
And we'll see you next time.
AKA Beto. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.